Welcome back, guys, to video number 4. Today is the day that we get all the pieces working. So we're going to attach all the elements together and interconnect them in order for you to create a system that functions. Okay. The system that we're going to be creating is the AI Receptionist. In the previous videos, I showed you how to create the Airtable. I showed you how to get all the authentications that you need. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to piece them together and how to do troubleshooting. I'm going to be showing you the systems that I use in order to do troubleshooting in order for me to get from point A to point B and get it all working. Remember, subscribe to the video and do comment. It helps us out a lot. And all the resources that are going to be utilized in this video are going to be in the school.com. Everything is going to be for free because at the end of the day, I think it's very useful and I think it's a beautiful thing for us to share knowledge with each other. All right, so let's get going. Okay, guys, so let's get going. Video number 4. I'm going to be showing you guys how to get the outbound call system going. So in this video, what we're going to be going through is connecting everything on N8N. So video 1, we set up all the accounts and tools. Video 2, we built the Airtable Lead Database. Video 3, we created the voice agent on 11 Labs. Today, we're going to plug in everything together. So we're going to be using N8N. Some of you guys have the free version. This is the one that we're going to be using. This is the workflow that you're going to be working on. Just a quick reminder, I do provide all these workflows in theschool.com, so please do join it. And in theschool.com also has like the Notion pages of the stuff that are discussed in this YouTube video. So please do like, subscribe, and comment because it helps us a lot and it gives us the opportunity to create more videos. Okay, so the way that this one is set up, it has a scheduled trigger. So every 15 minutes, so for 7 days, it's going to activate the automation. And when it activates the automation, all it does is just scan the database, which is the lead management system that we built before, and put out that data through the automation. Okay, so this is a custom cron. You can make this a little bit easier. You can set it in minutes and get it to scan every 15 minutes. But I set mine up as the one that this one is set up as is it's going to scan every 15 minutes for every 15 minutes, 7 days a week between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Was it 6 p.m.? 17. Yeah, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Because I genuinely tend to think that people don't really want to receive calls after 6 p.m. So you also do have to follow some common courtesy rules. It's going to go through the lead selection and batching, which is here, this element here. So the lead selection and batching. Sorry, that one there. Okay. The 11 Labs outbound call, which is this HTTP request, and the SMS and tracking setup, which is this one here, which is Twilio. I set this one up as an HTTP request, but we also do have a Twilio node. So N8N does have a native Twilio node that you can use. I just set this one up particularly as an HTTP request. The beautiful thing about an HTTP request is that any website that has API capability, generally you can just call it with an HTTP request. So that's the one I'm going to be showing you guys today. Okay. So I'm going to be going through the Visual Workflow Builder. Beautiful thing about N8N has more than 400 app integration. This is going to run 24/7. If you self-host it, it'll cost you up to between 10 to 20 bucks a month. And I showed you how to self-host this yourself. Instead of costing up to 80, I think it's between 50 and 80 bucks a month, but everyone has different preferences. So it's totally up to you how you want to do. If you want to save some money and you're going to be running this locally, it's pretty easy to set up, like I showed you before. So you need to understand the couple of nodes. So you've got trigger nodes, action nodes, and logic nodes. All right. So if you understand this in terms of systems, the good thing about N8N is it's a very visual way for you to look at the system. So if you define what a system is. Ideally, a system is a set of elements that are interconnected together to serve a purpose or function. So the function that this automation is serving is an AI receptionist. The elements that we're looking at are these nodes, the websites that are visual, which would be like Twilio, 11 Labs, Airtable, cow.com. These are the visual elements, and the interconnections are things like the code nodes in here, the trigger nodes, the action nodes. Those are the interconnections. So when you're building these automation, you kind of have to have the idea of what you're trying to build, what the purpose of the function is, and then from there you think about the connections, what connections you're going to need, and then the elements, what specific tools that you're going to need in order to get to the purpose or function, which is the end goal. I like to think about that kind of stuff in a logical and systematic way because it helps me kind of build it out in my mind. But again, everyone is different. So remember that the data always flows from left to right. Okay, so it's from the schedule trigger and it's going to go that direction. So it goes that way. All right. So it's gonna gather the information. It's gonna process the information. It's going to send it to the 11 Labs website where it's going to create the call. So it's this text to speech. And then it is going to update the Airtable with the data that we need. I do have a Superbase node in here as well, which I'm happy to show you guys how to build. Just let me know. But you don't ideally necessarily need it. I think Superbase is just a nice addition for you to store your data, because I do tend to believe that the quicker you start storing this information, the more data that you have in the future, the more valuable your database is, because as you build your automations and your workflows, the more data that you have to play around with and the more data that you have stored, the easier it is going to be for you to like start testing stuff and to have kind of a local database in order for you to kind of train your agents when you get to that level. Okay, so how this works is you've got a schedule trigger, which is that trigger there, which is the first one there, which is going to get leads, which is the Airtable search. Just make it. Cool. All right, so get leads, which is the Airtable search, extract the data from the Airtable. This kind of the function of just code in JavaScript is to filter business hours. So it is also valuable for you to name your nodes appropriately, even though I didn't do this once, but you do get to see me do it. Because it does help you when you're troubleshooting with Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, because you'll be able to reference exactly which node that you need to fix, which is quite handy. Handy. I always usually have a note in here. I've recently found out, or I just kind of thought about it, is if something ever pulls me aside, it's a lot easier for me to put everything in a note. That way I can go back to exactly where I was, instead of having to review the full thread in order for me to figure out the exact point in which I was. So the note is quite handy, but again, each to their own. And from there, we've got the loop. Good thing about this loop is it prevents the automation from overloading 11 Labs. Even though 11 Labs has the ability to do 10 concurrent calls, that means it can run a maximum of up to 10 calls at the same time. I think there's different tiers, and the higher tier does give you the ability to call more or to utilize more concurrent calls. However, that's like an enterprise level. So in order for you to kind of minimize the flow, or just to control the flow of data going through, you just put this as the amount of the batch size is 3. So what that means is only 3 of these are going to go through at the same time, and then only 3 are going to go through the automation at the same time, and it prevents it overloading 11 Labs. This is set at 3 minutes. You can set this to whatever. I've just found that anywhere between 3 and 5 is the optimum, is the best, and that gives you the ability to kind of wait it out, and then it's going to process the next batch of 3 and the next batch of 3. Unless you're doing crazy high volume of calls, usually you can go up to maybe 5, and unless it's like a call center or something, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be using that much. And the reason I've deactivated it at the moment is because when we're doing testing, I don't want this wait node to hold up the test. So how you turn it on and off is there's this little on and off button here. Okay. So you turn it off and it'll process the data straight away. You turn it on and it's going to put a hold and wait on that data for about 3 minutes. So let's just keep that off for now. This is the 11 Labs HTTP request. Same play. So you can just play this, and that's off, and that's bin, and then you have all these other options here. Deactivate, replace, rename, copy, duplicate, convert, blah, blah, blah. And where are we now? This is the wait 10 seconds. So the reason we wait is for us to get the call status. So there's another workflow that's attached to 11 Labs, which we're going to be going through at the end of this series, which will be video 6, which is to get the post-call data, the post-call transcriptions, and to also attach the other tools such as booking on Bookout.com, confirming the bookings and creating the bookings as well, and also to send an SMS. This one's the same. It is currently deactivated for testing purposes. This is the Airtable. So after the 11 Labs makes the call, it's going to update the Airtable, and this is the text that it's going to send out. So it sends out this text after the call occurs, whether if it was successful or not. If it's successful, obviously it's not going to send the text. If it's not successful, that is when it's going to send a follow-up text. That's why we have the deactivated node, because on the other workflow, this should update the Airtable. Therefore, it wouldn't push any further. And we've got the Twilio node, which is going to send the text, the track SMS, create row on Superbase, log to Superbase. I will put that node on there. However, creating the table on Superbase is pretty similar to Airtable, and you can pretty much just copy and paste the AI prompt that I gave you for the second video, and it should be able to create the table for you. Superbase is a little bit more particular with how you enter the data, but if you copy and paste that prompt, it should give you the exact same result. This final HTTP request, this is the post-call follow-up workflow, which I'll show you in the next video because I don't want this video to get too long. And this is the 3 touch points. So after the first call is made, let's say if someone doesn't pick up, it's going to make another one within 5 minutes. If they don't pick up that one, it's going to make one again within 24 hours and then another one within 48 hours, just for the highest amount of touch points. Okay, and let's move in. This is to create the webhook. And the webhooks are in here, which we already went through. Is it this one? Yeah, this is the send up SMS webhook, but I will show you that in the next one. However, the first one is a schedule trigger. You can switch this over to a webhook. So if you switch it over to a webhook, what would happen ideally is it'll be a webhook instead. And what you would do is you would put this in Facebook, or you put this in on Zapier, or you put this in the place where you're collecting your data, whether it's Typeform, and it'll collect the data. So it'll collect the data, search the lead if it's already existing or not. If it's not existing, it'll go here, check, and filter during business hours. Okay. But this one, we're going to use a schedule trigger. So schedule trigger is assuming that you're entering the leads by yourself manually, or you already have your automation to send it directly into your leads data table. Okay, so the lead is entered. It formats the data. It checks if there's an existing lead. Cool. All right. Cool. So let us keep going. Let's keep going. All right. So before the automation, everything is super manual and you have to make the phone calls yourself. After it's like 24/7. I'm going to show you how to do a bit of troubleshooting and the process that I usually go through. And all right, let's get going. Okay, so this is our workflow. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to execute the workflow. And it should get a phone call.
Hi, this is Sarah from Building Bloom. I'm just following up on your recent inquiry with the leasing.
Cool. So that's pretty great. That works straight away. The reason I've got these pinned, so what you can do is you can pin and you can unpin data. So let's unpin this. And this, if you look at this setting, this is phone number. You got to think about it logically. So what are you trying to filter for? Phone number, contact status, new. So status, contacted. This is pinned. So the reason that went through straight away is because it's pinned. So for testing purposes, generally you can pin data and it'll process that through. But let's unpin this, and so I can show you what it's meant to be like. Okay, if it's a brand new lead. Okay, so this should say contact status either empty or new, and contact TBA. Okay, contact status TBA. Sorry, contact status TBA. I usually just set the default as TBA when the new one does come in, and it'll be the same as this. So default is new. Okay. Now, if we run this again, we've unpinned this, and we will unpin this data as well. And we're just going to run it a brand new and fresh. Okay, so let us do that now. So let's just execute that workflow.
I'm Building Bloom. I'm just
Cool. So if you're looking at this data set, you've got, this is the limit. What is the limit of the amount of numbers that you can pull? All right. This is the Airtable node, and the Airtable information is entered in here. So generally you go in here, you create a new one, you click that one, and you enter this access token. Okay. This access token you saved before, so you should know where to find that already. Enter that, you go click test connection, and it should test it straight away. The call date, manual. So these, what you can do, so we've got this, which is full name. You can enter this manually, or when you're testing, you can just drag and drop. Okay, so you just drag and drop where you want the information to be tested. Loop over items, see, it's only going to search for 3. Done batch of 1, but that's only because there's only 1 item in there. Select phone number. This is what we use to sift through if it's a WhatsApp number, etc. Now, but this is probably the important part. This is where it is going to make the phone call to 11 Labs. So you've got the API key, which you should have already gotten from the previous video. The API key can be found in, I believe it's developers API keys, which is here. That's where all your API keys. You can't really see them but you just create a new one. Once you create a new one, you just go create. You should enter the API key in here. I am definitely going to delete these before I give them to you. and the agent number, agent ID, and agent phone number. So the agent ID is this one. The one at the top ends with that one. What? There you go. That's the agent ID. And the phone numbers, you enter, this is the phone number ID, which I will also delete because obviously I don't want you guys to see that. Or I'll block it out. I don't know. I'll figure it out. And this is the number. So like I said, you just drag and drop the number. Okay, just drag and drop the number, or you can just enter it manually. It does take a little while to learn these. I don't even think I've learned all of them by myself either, but it's just JavaScript, and you should be able to do that. Conversation ID, call ID, and this is going to be the message success. So what you're waiting for is that information. So that's the reason we have this wait node here to tell you if the call is successful or not. And then you just enter the information. So you have lead entered, the record ID, which is how Airtable determines how to find that specific row of information. Sometimes you might have to enter a code node in between, or you might have to kind of pass on it wouldn't let you use that specific ID if it's too far down. So you might have to create a code node in order for you to transfer that information. So contact status, we'll move that to contacted, okay, because this is number 1. And then we move to contact status to call 1. So as you see, when you do click it, once it goes through contacted and it goes to call 1. Okay. We don't have a created date, last SMS status. I'll show you how to enter all this information as we go along. And track SMS status. So what you do, where is this? So as you can see, we have a little bit of an issue here. So you just delete this and you go here and you go refresh. Let's refresh this. There you go, last SMS date here. And I should go initial sent, contact status. You don't have to, usually if you do this again, it's going to erase the previous value. You just have to be careful. In this sort of situation, this is what I usually would do. I'd pin this and I would pin this. Pinning is pretty handy in order for you not to be like getting constant calls, and you'll burn through your Twilio credits pretty quickly as you're doing your testing. So you can make the first one, and then after you make the first one, just kind of use the pin. That way you can continue testing it without it giving you any issues or you burning through your data. So what we can do instead is we can go last SMS date. Got that here. Cannot be processed by a service. Let's try that again. Cool. So I'm just going to make it super duper raw. Sometimes when you get a error that you don't understand, I would usually, well, this is the transcript. I'd go here, enter the transcript. I can usually just enter it, copy this, and I'd paste this here. Usually I use ChatGPT or Gemini, but I'm using the comment browser, so it's also quite handy. Explain this error and how do I fix it. Open your leads management, confirm did. Cool. So to tell you exactly what you need to do to fix this. So last SMS day, edit. Confirm it is a date or date with time field. Cool. And then you do that. Save. And what you can do is you refresh. No, that's not the one. It's here. We will refresh. And we'll execute workflow again. Cool. Cool. So there you go. That went through, was executed properly. And see here, you've got a session ID. Session ID is, I usually use the SID from Twilio, but you should also have phone. But again, you guys are not going to be using Superbase anyway. I'm just going to show you, I'm just walking you through my process. And this is the HTTP request to start the secondary workflow, which I will go through it all. So that is the full workflow. And just to show you, that's the SMS that have been sent. And this is the video 4. Thank you for joining me. If you guys did enjoy this, please do let me know and follow along. Do join the school.com. And we'll continue building this series. Thank you. And I will see you guys in the next video.